Some people are coming to me saying they cannot see shadows through their windows in the model that they're made for assignment one. Um, let's talk about display settings. So this is the model I made, or one like it, for this week's, in class for this week's assignment. We have opaque and glazed layers. The glazed layers are set to have a color and have some transparency. And with the settings, with my settings, I can see shadows through them. If you can't, why might that be true? First, let's just talk about display modes. If you're not really aware of these, when I go to shaded, this is just a bunch of settings that were brought together to create a default or a canned set of settings that we call shaded. If I turn on my shadows, all of a sudden I got the sun turned on. That's not the sun. That's actually just another set of, we've just accessed another display mode called CS Shadows that has different settings. So the first thing is you need to get adept at changing these. So if you go into options, realize in options you have document properties that are for the file you're working on only, and then Rhino options, which are global. If I come down to view, I see here's all my display mode settings that we typically use. And CS Shadows is one that's created by Climate Studio. If I click on it, the first point to make is there are a ton of settings. Just in the general tab, I've got like 20. Then there's a bunch of other tabs that each have 5 or more. In objects, for example, this is like 8 here. And then with inside objects, I can look at surfaces. There's the bunch. There's an entire tab just for shadows. So there's a lot to it. Um, if you're not seeing through your glazed surfaces, one reason might be if I'm in CS Shadows. Um, so in the General tab, I come down to Shading Settings. So that seems like what we should be looking at. If I look at color and material usage, mine is set to objects color. And that means that these objects, these surfaces, have colors based on their layer settings here. Um, if this is a different setting, for example, rendering material, I might not be able to see through because I'm not accessing these settings in the layers. So that's one thing I've seen happen. It might be something else. You may need to play around with other settings in CS Shadows. Another thing I've seen, I showed this in class, is that these surfaces are directional. So if I select one, it's kind of hard to see with this. So I'm going to come over to my display mode and change the color. It might be a little bit easier to see. Um, If I select my Analyze Direction tool, if you don't have that or haven't used it, you should access it because it's pretty powerful. I can see that this surface is pointing out. So if I flip it by right-clicking here, the surface is flipped and now I cannot see through it. So apparently this is directional in terms of how light is, how the surface interacts with light. Something you wouldn't know, you'd have to figure out, right? So this is, a lot of times that's how we learn. Uh, there are other options here, and we're going to work on one this week in class. I'm just going to preview it right now to show you the power of this. So, just display mode settings. Um, okay, so I'm looking through, I'm seeing shadows. I can adjust, the sun. That's great. It's exactly what I want to do. But it's, obviously, it's obfuscated by the shadows are obfuscated by the opaque surfaces. That's kind of frustrating. I could hide the north side and look inside. I can, play with different camera views. So, there's lots I can do with these settings as they are. Um, but wouldn't it be cool if I could see through the roof, look at the shadows inside, but not have the roof let shadows through? Um, that'd be a great way I'd gain a lot of information from that. So, um, I asked Elijah how to do that, and he created a custom display mode setting for us. So I'm going to preview it now. We'll talk about it in class. So if I um, set the display mode of my roof to wireframe, I can see through the roof. This is what I want. It's great, except that the roof is also letting the sun through. So, if I come to the summer solstice, this is all this light here is not really coming through. That's coming through the roof. I don't want that. So Elijah created for us a custom, oops, I don't want to do that. Wait, sorry, let me go back to this. A custom display mode called wireframe, CSS wireframe. I'm going to select my roof again. Select my object display mode and change it to this new custom tool set. Okay, so that changed something. It's not what I want though, right? So what do I need to do? Well, I'm going to go into my shadow settings. Turns out that we need to adjust a setting in the Climate Studio. So what are we looking at right now? Everything is Climate Studio shadows except for the roof. If I now switch this to transparent objects always cast a shadow, it's not what I want, but I'm heading in the right direction. If I now turn off if I make holes in the facade rather than having materials through it, oops, it's wrong. I can now see shadows through the roof. I'm sorry, I can see through the roof, but I do not see, it's not letting any sun through it, so I can see the accurate pattern from my facades that I've created. So the point is, the way I set things up in class is not, it's just one of many options we could use. So generally, you don't have to do exactly what I'm showing you. Um, but what we need to learn is how to adjust display mode settings so that we get outputs that are useful to us, not just that are right or that, that whatever I'm doing is not right or wrong. We have a goal here, and so for example, I want to be able to see through. I want to be able to see the shadows that I'm creating inside the building. This is a good way of doing it. All right. See you in class.